Other? I'm
Oh,
trying to
not
figure out what.
much.
Let me see. Oh, okay, man. It's good to hear your voice. I was just watching a video. Someone had mentioned you in it, and I was like, man, I need to reach out to him and see how he's doing. Uh,
Yeah, I'm actually. I just did a live earlier. They. I did it. I'm back, starting to do lives.
oh, okay, okay. Where did you go?
Um. Yeah, I quit doing lives because I kept getting blocked because of what I do for a living. Being a truck driver. That dangerous activity stuff. So now they got it to where you can do a green screen. So I put up.
One more time.
I said I quit showing my camera because I kept getting blocked because I drive for a living. So I kept getting blocked for dangerous
Got it. Okay.
activity. So now they've got it to where you can put up a green screen and not show your camera. So I don't get blocked.
Okay. Oh,
So now I can
you're.
do lives again. So
Love to see it. What have you been teaching on recently? I've been
um,
noticing that you've had
I've
some
been doing
some
classes
stuff
right
going
now on
on
law of agency. Uh,
on the law of
yeah,
agency.
because why everything in this system of government is two principles. The two primary principles is law of agency and contracts.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going
Mm-hmm.
to be the trustee, the executor, the guardian, the conservator, the power of attorney, those are all agency positions. You know, I
Right.
mean,
Right.
you're an agent for something. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
you're talking about the spiritual side of law. Well, let's go back to
Mm-hmm.
the Bible.
Let's get
You
into
have
it.
it's right there in the Bible. You have it tells you there's power in the name of Jesus Christ, but there's no power in your name, right? Well,
Sure.
Jesus is his given name. What is Christ?
Hey.
His
Hey.
agent or
It's
official
time.
capacity.
Yes.
What is your official
Yes. Yes. Yes.
capacity?
Um.
You see what I'm saying?
What? I hear it. I hear it. Right. So you're talking about the given name versus the title and or official capacity.
Well, that all caps name is a trust. We know that to be a fact. Social Security
Absolutely.
trust. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
They,
I also heard it. I've also heard they say that it's a separate,
yeah,
um,
because the only thing that Congress can create is statute.
right. That's right. And they have the power to do that. The Constitution has given them the power to legislate and create
Yeah.
laws for its citizens. Correct. And so
Well,
that trust would be a United States citizen.
yes. When you fill out a W-4 and you put the name, the social, the address, check U.S. citizen, who's the employee? Is it you or the trust? The trust is.
It is the trust,
And
absolutely.
it is a U.S. citizen.
Yes, absolutely. So this is one of the things that you taught me, and I feel very confident to stand in this kind of ideology, which is this idea that one, there are so many presumptions out there, right, where people
Uh-huh.
are talking about, well, I need to rebut this, I need to fight against this. And it's like, well, no, you don't want to fight the system. That
No,
was
you
like a
don't.
big thing that I remember getting from you, like this idea of like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We don't need to be like these hero vigilantes against the system, against the government type of people. That's not what we're looking for. We need to just learn how to administrate ourselves properly, both in the private and the public sphere. And in order to do that, we do have to know the law. We do have to know the principles.
Well,
We do.
well, the principles of law is what very few people are teaching. And
Yeah.
people are teaching processes. They're
Yes.
never concentrating on the principles.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, in your opinion, what is the difference between, I guess not the principles and the process. What is principles the application of the law?
Principles are the true law. That's the principles are there by nature. You've heard the
They
term
exist
natural
in.
law.
Mhm.
Okay, those they don't violate the rules of nature, and the principles respect when they properly applied all parties. For example, if you look at the back of the social, it clearly says it's their property.
Oh
The
yes.
majority of the people out there are not respecting the principles. They're saying that's mine when it's clearly saying it's theirs. So that means what?
Sure.
You're not respecting the owner's rights, and you're wondering why the government is slapping you around.
Sure. So, and you think about it too, right? You have this idea, whatever you create, you control, right? And
Well,
so if
didn't the
you didn't,
Bible go back to the Bible? What did Jesus say when he was asked about taxes? He said, "Render unto Caesar
what
that
is
which is
Caesar?
Caesar's, and unto God that which is God's." If that
Right.
trust is Caesar's,
Sure. So tell me something then, Pastor. So as you had said the law of agency, right? As an agent, right, for this trust,
mhm.
what would you say is the capacity in which we are acting as agents, right? So like, obviously, we can register cars and register applications,
Well,
whatever, and everything's in that trust. Do you think that the
everything's
trust
in
is a
that.
good thing?
Yeah, I think the trust is a good thing. I don't think it's necessarily bad in and of itself. What makes it bad is how you use it.
Sure, sure. Why do you think people think it's a bad thing? And if have you come across people who believe, oh, we gotta escape the system, we gotta take over and control this thing that we didn't create?
They think it's bad because they have forgotten, one, who they are, and two, they have forgotten the laws of nature. They're actually in
Mm,
rebellion to the laws of nature. One of the things, the Bible talks about is who instituted government? God.
God, it's again amongst
Okay.
men. Yes,
Now, God gave man the free will to set up what type of government, but God instituted government.
sure,
Okay.
sure.
Now,
What is that?
if
Romans 13.
if you are going to say that government is evil, then what do you end up doing? You're saying God is evil. But wait a minute, God is good. You can't have it both ways.
You can have your cake and eat it too.
So
So
if
so
government is established, okay, if God instituted, then you need to figure out one, what is the reason it was established for? Well, it clearly lays out to punish the wicked, right?
yes, speak on it. Yep,
Well, the
yep.
reason why government is treating you the way you're being treated is because you're one of the wicked. Because why? You're trespassing on their rights and you don't even realize it.
Right, right. And so like, and then also too, to your point, government's instituted amongst men, right?
Uh huh.
Uh, and in order to judge them for their lawlessness, for the fact that they have forgotten natural law, for the fact that they've forgotten God's law, for the fact that they live in lawlessness and they're lawless in their hearts.
Yeah.
And so now you have these, people who are ruling over them, who are not ruling over them in the way that they want them to. And it's supposed to bring a revelation of, wait, if I resist God's law, then I'm going to be judged. And so
Now,
in
doesn't it say in the Bible that the law is there to
oh,
teach you of your
yes,
sins? So
yes,
you can change your ways. But what does everybody want to ignore?
the law. Their own selves, they don't want to take responsibility. They want to blame somebody else.
Yeah, and if you cannot self-govern, one of our founding fathers said this, if you cannot self-govern, you will be governed from without.
Right. Woo.
Now let's say
Self-government.
you hypothetically don't believe in the Bible. Okay, fine. Say that nature is your God. Then those principles will still line up.
Well, they always
That's
do
why.
because they're written on our hearts. That's what the scripture
Exactly.
says, is that the law
That
is written
is.
on your heart. So there
Yep.
are universal laws and principles that exist as the substance just as much as the substance of the material reality and the immaterial reality. These universal laws exist. For example, you reap what you sow. And every law exists for us so that when we disobey or when we violate it, there are repercussions. In light of those repercussions, we say, oh, the law was revealed to me. I broke the law in ignorance. I don't want to violate the law because then that brings sickness, disease, pain, and suffering upon me. And now I'm going to be in alignment, whatever that law is. And so the law is good. The law is good, but it's also
Yes.
for the lawless as a teacher until the time of the promise. And I think that that's the idea of like Christ being fulfilled, fulfilling the law, but also Christ fulfills the law inside of us too, because Christ
Yes.
in us is the hope of glory. So that glory that comes is that we would be in alignment with the law of God, the universal law, and be at harmony and peace with ourselves, with creation, and with Creator.
See, the system is doing its job. The elite
Mm,
look at the masses as heathens or animals, and look at what
mm,
they actually. By the way, good day, Anubis. I just now saw that. The they look at us as animals and heathens because why? Most of the people act like heathens because why? They cannot think. They cannot govern themselves.
right,
They get mad at the government. And the government keeps giving them what they ask for, and then when the government does these things, they get mad. Remember
right,
the Social Security card? If you go look at the back in the day, it used to say on it, "Do not use for identification," right? Well, the
right,
people said because some man in a suit asked for it, guess what happened? They used it for identification. So the people said, okay, that's how you want it, then that's how you'll get it. They took that phrase off the social. They tried
right,
to warn
right.
us.
Yeah, man. Oh, you are correct. So it's resistance, yeah? It's resistance
Hmm.
and it's ignorance of the law,
It's ignorance.
right? It's
So,
ignorance.
so if you are the agent, if you understand the laws of agency, the agent is never liable for the principal unless the agent doesn't do their job. So the
Sure.
reason we're liable is because we're not doing our job.
Right. Right, right. And so as an agent, what is our job?
To forward all notices, all demands, and all processes to the principal. You're not supposed to be going to third parties. Everybody's talking about show me debt discharge. What do they want to do? They want to go to the third party.
What do you mean by third party?
The
Ah,
IRS.
the person outside. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
So going to who they think that they need to go to when really we need to go to the principal.
Well, you know trust law, don't you? You know a little bit about
Oh
trust law,
yeah.
right?
Oh
You're
yeah,
at
for
your
sure.
computer. Go to
Yeah.
Google and type in signatories to the trustee reports.
Signatory to the trustee report.
It'll be your first or second link. It's probably going to be your first, uh, but it'll be titled signatories to the trustee reports, and it'll be right on the SSA
To the
website.
trustee or of the trustee report?
To the trustee reports. TO.
No, no, no. Yes. Okay. All right. SSA.gov. Okay. All
Click on
right.
that.
Yep. We got the trustees of the Social Security Trust. We got them over here. Janet Yellen,
And do they
Julie,
not tell you that
Xavier.
she is the managing trustee of the trust funds?
To me, when I'm reading, it says Secretary of the Treasury and Managing Trustee of the Trust Funds. So it seems like she's the one who is
The
the
head is
trustee,
the head
the
trustee.
head trustee.
Now let's break it down. The first trustee is the Secretary of the Treasury. Janet Yellen is filling the office. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so the first trustee is the Secretary of the Treasury. Why? That's the bank. The second trustee is who? The Secretary of Department of Labor. Why?
Yeah.
When you fill out a W-4, we just went over that a minute ago. Who's the employee? The trust is. The address you put on the document is for the office of the registered agent.
Mm,
Okay. Now, when you checked U.S. citizen, are you telling the truth? Yes, because under the 14th Amendment, all corporations, all businesses, and all trusts are what? U.S. citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Thir-
Not all trusts, though.
yes, all trust.
Really?
Everything in the legal fiction world they have control over. What keeps you out of trouble is how you manage that legal fiction.
Sure. So what about the people who are doing like the express trust?
They
Who
got
like
some
there's
guru
there's
telling them
a they're
they
saying
got
that yeah,
they got
it's not a corporation.
it's still not a corporation, no, but it's still a legal fiction.
Sure, sure. But do they have control over every legal fiction
Yes,
created,
because
even if they
it's the
didn't create it?
world. Yeah, they do
Okay,
have
okay,
control. What keeps you out of trouble is how you manage it. If you don't
okay,
manage
okay.
it right, they will come in and take it from you.
Sure, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Because you still got to obey the laws.
Yeah, because there's this mentality amongst the community out there that people will say that just because you put it in trust, that automatically makes you in the private. No, you've always been in the private. You just didn't know your relationship to that name.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about the natural versus the fiction, correct?
Hmm. Yeah, now that name that you've been using, do you have firsthand knowledge that's your name?
No, of course not.
No, you don't. And people will say, but my mother gave it to me. Okay, what is that in law? That's hearsay.
Yeah.
Okay, not only is that
Mm-hmm.
hearsay, can you prove your mother gave you that name? No, because why? There's three products of conception. Which one got named?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then don't they call it a decedent estate? Well, you're
Right.
not dead.
Right.
You're not a decedent.
Right.
But
Right.
what was the decedent? The placenta. I've shown
Mm-hmm.
documents in the government's own words about the three products of conception and when it comes to birth registration. And I discovered a couple months ago a thing called the Born Alive test. The Born Alive test, it just means that a product was expelled from the mother. It doesn't matter how long it was alive.
Mm-hmm. You
So
said that
that
was
means the umbilical cord came out, it was alive, didn't live long. The placenta came out, it didn't live long. Guess what? That's by operation of law, that's the only thing the hospital can record was what was in its possession. What was in its
mm-hmm.
possession? The placenta and the umbilical cord. You wasn't. Your mother took you home. So
Mm-hmm.
you never got recorded.
Right.
Now, the reason why you never got recorded is they don't have jurisdiction over the flesh and blood man except through contracts. Now, why is that? Why is it that the Secretary of State to this day will accept a Bible entry as proof of identification? Because the Bible is on the private side.
Mm.
You see what I mean? They don't have jurisdiction over the flesh and blood man.
Oh yes,
It's
yes,
on the
yes.
private side. But
Right.
do they have jurisdiction over you when you express yourself in such a way that you are leading them to believe that you believe you're that trust? Well, that trust has
Yeah.
liability. If you want to be the liable party, they'll let you. The First Amendment says you have the right to your beliefs. They won't tell you what to believe.
Right. Also, too, you mentioned the Bible being on the private side. The public law was it 19 203
83.
or something like that? Or was
19,
it
I think it's
83?
1983. Yeah,
1983. That's right.
where they talked about the Bible. Yes.
The year of the Bible. The year of the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so okay, so I just watched a video of a guy who had, he had mentioned you in his video, and he said, and he was kind of bringing an admonition to one of the other ladies who was talking about wanting to become a secured party, right?
Yeah.
And people believe in that you have to do a secured party process in order to have like a higher security, to have the security interest over people and to be the first creditor in whatever situation and and get their whatever that might be. And there's people, some people who live and die on that hill, right? But
I've
this
been
guy
there and done
said,
that hill.
yeah, were you on that hill for a second?
There's one side of the secured party process I agree with.
Sure.
If you're going to learn trust law, because it was very instrumental in me learning trust law. I actually followed Yusuf L. Now, do I agree with everything Yusuf L says today? No, I do not.
Sure.
But his trust class, I purchased that, and it is awesome. Okay,
Fire.
it is. Um, because why? He goes through the government documents like I do, showing trust.
Uh-huh.
Tonight, no, I can't. But if you want to schedule a phone consultation for the first of the week, go through my link tree. I can do it then, but not tonight. Um, the if you on the secured party process, the part I will brag about is trust law. Okay, but when it comes to the part of the process dealing with the name, even though I've done it, I didn't realize when I did it that part I had wrong
Right.
because
Because you didn't
one,
create it?
you
Yeah.
didn't create. If you create a trust and you name it John Henry Doe, that's the all caps name. Okay.
Yep.
Yusuf L's class. That's who I was talking about unanimous. I did that years ago. I can't tell you when my trust class will be coming up because right now we're teaching law of agency. We're getting ready to do the 10th class tomorrow because it's 619 sections that we're going over. We're almost done, and the next thing I'm going over is the law of contracts, which is longer than the law of agency, and then we'll go into trust. Um, but that being said, um, you really shouldn't do the trust classes until you at least do law of agency. Why? A trustee is nothing but an agent for the trust. Why would you
Hmm.
disregard the foundations? Because everything is agency. A lot of people want to jump into trust law without mastering the principles. You see what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
So, and I was guilty of that back in the
Sure.
day. I've
Sure.
come along. I've been doing this 12 years.
Right.
Um,
Right.
we've all made mistakes listening to gurus over the years.
I love
I
a
mean,
good guru.
even
Yeah.
you have,
Yeah.
Sean.
Oh, absolutely.
Uh, so that's the reason my teaching style is different. I teach you what I'm learning, and then I show you
Right.
where I got it from, so that way you can read it for yourself.
Right.
Because you have to be able to stand on it for yourself. But
It's
back
true.
to the subject, when it comes to the name, the part of the process of the secured party process where they got it wrong is one, if you create a trust and say the trust name is John Henry Doe, the social name is John Henry Doe, they think that automatically gives them control of the Social Security trust. No, it doesn't. They're two distinctly different entities. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, when you issue a bond and you attach it to the birth certificate, okay, do you know how to enforce it? Most people
Mhm.
know. The next thing is doing a UCC1. The reason why that is not proper is because how, did you did you ever do a proper administrative process proving that a debt was owed for you to do a UCC1 against their property?
So when you're saying the proper administrative process to find out if there is actually a debt owed, is that your job as the agent to find out?
Well, hold on. User 11 p.m. You did not make an appointment for 11 p.m. to my knowledge. Maybe 11 a.m. But yeah, I did see that there was a thing scheduled for Monday. Um, the the proper UCC. Let's say that you've been the agent for the trust. Well, guess what you've been doing all this time? You've been working for free. Technically, they owe you back pay
That is absolutely correct. That is absolutely
because an
correct.
agent doesn't have to work for free. It's a compensatable position. You got to express your compensation.
Right.
Now, if they, being from the time you were 18, the principal has been derelict in their duty,
Cutting out there.
communicating with the agent properly, right? Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Um, let me see here. So the principal has been derelict in their duty by communicating with the agent properly. Okay.
Still a little
Well, let me.
shaky, man. Still a little
Yeah.
shaky.
No, I stopped talking because I'm checking out what he said. It is definitely not going to be at 11 p.m. There's something going on. I'll have to fix my calendar settings. You got it 4 p.m. Pacific. 11 p.m. at night, that's not going to happen. You're going to have to reschedule it earlier. I'm on Eastern time. Um,
Hey,
the the principal, which are those trustees, they're not communicating with you like you're the agent. So that means they're in malfeasance. They're letting you believe something that's not true.
right,
Now they're
right.
liable to you because now they've injured or harmed you, right?
Sure, right. Well, without full disclosure, right?
Now they give full disclosure. The
Hmm.
funny thing about disclosure is this: they publish everything. In full disclosure, the problem is this: there's nothing that says how they have to disclose it.
Mm, got it.
So
Yeah. So there's yeah there's
they publish everything everywhere. The problem is we're not
mm,
reading.
hmm.
I just showed you one link to the trustees, right?
Yeah, we got them. We got them. Yeah, they're right here.
Yeah, didn't they publish that? Yes, they did.
Yeah, we know who they are. So 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 in light of knowing who these trustees are, and then going back to the video that I was mentioning, um, he had mentioned that he had been talking with you and that he called whoever his creditors were, whoever, and had something discharged just by talking to them on the phone.
Hmm.
And so, what say you about the aspect of discharge? Is it an assumption that we have debt to discharge? It is it yeah, and then what is your particular take on how basically how to do that and what you found?
Discharge, I believe, is a real thing.
Mm,
The people's understanding of it is wrong
mm-hmm,
because really it's just banking. Think about it. What are you actually discharging? Not a darn thing. When you went and
mm,
purchased a car, you filled out a purchase agreement, right?
yeah.
What did you give them? A promissory note.
You gave them essentially a bill of exchange, a promissory note.
Yeah,
You gave them value. You gave
yeah.
them value, but they did not give us value consideration.
Actually, yes, they did. The
Oh, tell me
problem
about it.
is go read the back of the promise or the purchase agreement for the car because I know you purchased a new car. Go read the back of it. You waived your rights in the security.
Oh, because when they said you give us security interest in it, and I signed that. Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, I hear that. I hear that. But that also. So you're saying that wasn't fraudulent?
No, it wasn't fraudulent. Why? Because they put everything on the paper to give you full notice. You did not read it.
Sure, sure. So there, you're saying so if there's nothing fraudulent taking place, then what's the remedy?
Now, it's not fraud. Can it be constructive fraud? That's the
Okay.
difference.
Uh-huh. And what are the? I'm gonna look that up here. Oh, does the UCC talk about the constructive fraud,
No,
or is that?
constructive fraud is a principle.
Uh,
In other words, they have to review the contract to see if fraud was built into the contract.
is
It
it
doesn't.
generally?
It does not require the intent to commit fraud. I put up a video on YouTube and on Telegram that broke down the 4 points of constructive fraud a while back.
Sure, sure. Let me see here. So, constructive fraud in the field of contract law refers to a breach of duty through material representations upon which a third party relies, unlike standard. Well, so but they didn't tell us that we were that they were selling our note. But I guess they don't have to tell us that, do they?
Look again. Go get your purchase agreement. Yes, they
Yeah.
did.
You're, when they say security interest, that's what you're getting to.
No, they told you. They actually named the parties on the purchase agreement who's involved. That um, the bank, I mean the dealership is one party. You were a party,
Yeah.
and the financial institution that was purchasing the note is the other party, and it will even tell you who that is. Say it's Honda
Right.
Financial. My buddy John Eric Roca put a video about this up on YouTube years ago. He went and
Mm-hmm.
got a Honda for his daughter. He knew what the contract was. He showed the different parts. They let him take it home. No,
Right.
they didn't write it in. It's on the back of the purchase agreement, but nobody reads the purchase agreement.
Sure. So
But look,
that
nobody reads the terms of service half the time, and they just agree, and then they get mad when they sell your information. But you told
sure.
them they could.
Right. So you just brought up something I thought was kind of because it is now occurring to me that and in my agreement I've been looking for the trustee or the indentured trustee which which whatever financial institution purchased the note, right? And I didn't realize that that was the very person that I was paying back, but I thought that the indentured trustee or the trustee was a bank.
No.
And so
Now the
like
indentured trustee, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, you send your coupons to the indentured trustee." But again, under the law of agency, should you be doing that? No, you shouldn't be going to the third parties. There's a stopple. I would have to go look it up. Um, in the law of agency, if you give me a few minutes, I'll go find it. I'm going to have to find it. There's an estoppel of the agent to admit agency to third parties. Okay. Now, who are the third parties? You are going out in all the world doing business in the name of that trust. Okay.
yeah.
You're doing it as the trust. Your contract, you talk about the ultimate public and private. Well, if you know that they are the principal, because why? That name is their property, and I've shown you who the trustees are. And the trustees' job, the agent's job is to only notify who?
The
The
principal.
principal. So that means what? You're
Yeah,
supposed to
notify.
be notifying them, not going to the quote unquote third parties.
See what you're saying. So you're speaking about principles right now, are you not?
Yes.
You're talking about here's the principle that exists, and so is in light of that, right? You're basically saying we should the principle be noticing the principle that they need to take care of or settle
Their
this debt.
person's obligation.
The
My
person's
buddy,
obligation, yes,
yeah, yes. There, a
and that
buddy of
and
mine,
that's it.
a buddy of mine that I know. Okay, his name is Myron Rice. He would send his bills to who he thought was the trustees, and it was certain state agencies. And for 18 months, he said they paid all his bills. And I started showing him this different stuff because me and him's on the same page a lot. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, when he told me that, I said, Myron, why would you send it to the beneficiaries? He said, what do you mean? So I showed him that link I showed you on who the trustees are. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
and I broke down each person's authority, right? Now, the third trustee in the list is the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Now, why is that? Because the state is the beneficiary of the trust. Who does the state go to get their Title II, Title IV, and Title V funds? That's who they go to.
Who's that?
Okay.
The
Department of Health and
secretary?
Human, the Secretary of Department of Health and Human Services.
Mm.
So the state's the beneficiary of the trust. You're not the beneficiary.
Mm-hmm.
The people out there saying that you're the beneficiary, they're teaching you wrong. Now,
Right.
wait a minute. I will put this causal statement. My buddy
Love a custom
Tim,
statement.
my buddy Tim called the Social Security Administration after talk about this and asked them, "Am I the beneficiary?" They said, "Oh, yes, you are." He said, "Can you send me that in writing?" "Oh, no, we can't." Why? Because now you have evidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he kept pushing the issue with them. They finally told him, they said, "You are not the beneficiary yet." Okay. Why? Because you've not reached the requirements of what is required to reach those benefits like disability, retirement, the different little accounts they do, right?
Right.
I said,
Right.
bingo. I said, when you reach those appointments, you are a limited beneficiary status. You're still not the beneficiary.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the state is a beneficiary.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Is
why
that
would you? And I told Myron, why would you send it to the beneficiary who holds no liability? Why would you? Why not send? And when he saw the list of trustees that I showed you, he said, "Wow," he said, "I did not know that. That changes up the game completely." I said, "Yes, it does." I said, because that's the liable party. Now, if you go to Eon's channel on YouTube, EEON, he's been talking about this stuff as of recent, showing
is
how
it
to
on
give
YouTube?
debt. Yeah, how to give debt to the United States. In the Federal Emergency Relief Act, it tells you that they're supposed to provide for your necessities. I've been telling all along that this account was set up for your necessities.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is the people don't know who they are. They don't know how to enforce it. They think that's them.
Mm-hmm.
The echo, Angela, is because his computer. I'm on his computer. Occasionally, if I get too loud, it echoes.
I can actually put in my earphones too if that makes it easier. Hold on. I don't know if they'll be able to hear if I put. Hey, what's going on, Daryl? How's it going, man? Much love to you. Let me check here real quick. I'm gonna see if I can run it through.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can go to my system settings here. Pastor, you teaching, bro. You teaching, and it makes complete sense. I'm gonna check out this Eon guy too and find out what his whole thing is too, because he's got a couple videos on here that look pretty.
Yeah.
That look
He's.
pretty
I
cool.
actually. He's. If you can get past his annoyances,
Sure.
and he does it on purpose on his videos because me and him do talk.
Right.
Talking to him on the phone, it's night and day difference. He does the annoying stuff on the videos because those that are not serious, they will probably just not listen and go on away. But the people that are serious will put up with it for the information. So yeah, I know Eon's pretty good. Me and him talk regularly. Yeah, the Federal Emergency Relief Act, May 12th, 1933, and also if you look up that on Google, you will find out it was one of the precursors to the Social Security Act. See, this is why I continue to say over and over, it is not fraud, that they literally did give full disclosure, but the people are not looking in the right places.
Yeah, man, you teaching, bro. I like how man, I like how you teach.
I mean, the part where I said You can do things wrong, and if you know how to defend it, you can still beat up on them. Does that mean it was 100% right? No. I mean, trust law is when trust law is done right. Yeah, you can still beat up on them, even if you did the process itself, starting it out wrong.
Right. So yeah, because I'm looking on here, right? So you know the going back to, or I guess we can talk a little bit. Okay, so right, can we get in trouble for filing a UCC one against
The name?
the name, the trust, right?
I only know of one person, and this person did not do the secured party creditor process that effectively, and I've got a copy of his UCC,
Uh,
that effectively did a UCC one against the birth estate during a foreclosure, and the foreclosure attorneys walked away.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you.
Yeah.
We got ourselves a little correspondence here.
See, I've got a copy of this guy's, and it's in Florida. I mean, I've got a copy of the documents. He didn't go do a secured party process. He didn't claim, quote unquote, that that's my name. He understood it wasn't his name. But
Right.
he also went through the proper parties when he did the UCC one, because there's multiple parties involved. I mean, go back to the hospital. They were the start of the creation of those accounts.
Yes, absolutely. Right. The hospitals acting for and who and on whose behalf, though.
See,
Whose
there
behalf?
was three names created the day of the event. Well, actually, there was one name that was created way before the event. If go pull up an SS5FS form.
Uh-huh. You said FS.
No, Sierra Sierra
Uh,
5 Frank Sierra
uh,
Social Security application form.
okay. Application for the Social Security card. All right.
Now go down to the 5th page.
Okay. All right. Five. All right.
I actually just did a class on this and a couple other forms this past Sunday. Let's see, a week ago. Uh, look at box 1. Why is there 3 name lines?
There absolutely are three name lines to be shown on card. Full name at birth, if other than the above, other names
I
used.
know why there's 3 name lines now. You got the all caps name at the top. You
Uh-huh.
got the other name, and then you have the patient name. The patient name was created by the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And the patient name is not the same everywhere. That's a hospital by hospital discretionary ability. For me, it was my mom's married last name, her first name, and then it said baby male. In Pennsylvania, where my daughter was born, it said my wife's maiden name and baby girl, which stood for baby girl. You see how the patient name is different?
Mm-hmm.
See, most people don't know that third name, and they don't know how to write the name at birth if other than above. And the footprint documents don't even have the name on what you thought you was giving your kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look, it says date of birth, right, on box 4. But scroll down to box 13. Why is there a second date of birth line?
Mm-hmm.
Because that trust was filed or recorded a few days later. It wasn't the actual birth date. its birth date is different.
Mm.
Yeah, so they own the name. And I say ownership brings liability. If they want to own it, let them. Quit fighting them.
Right,
Quit
right.
fighting against the system. Be friends.
Have a friend. We need more friends in this world. Instead of less friends.
See, this is why we're going into their courts. They're calling people sovereign citizens. So no, you don't do the name change. You can't merge the title because why? They created that trust. Are you going to continue to trespass on Congress's rights? Too much conflicting information. You're absolutely right because people are putting their own thoughts into it. But the government tells us everything. We need to read their stuff. They tell us how it works. That gets rid of the conflict.
Right.
All I'm doing is showing you in their own words exactly what it is. Speculation. When I do, I tell you it's speculation.
You do a good job with that. So and so the way you're teaching also is you're teaching with simplicity, and you're bringing forward the law and the principles. In fact, like we've talked very little about procedure because it's almost like when you understand the principle, the procedure, it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now
pretty clear.
there's another reason. What is that? Shouty on conflicting information. The Bible lays out it says in the Bible that you should surround yourself with a wise counsel. If you are new to this, if you can count your wise counsel on one hand, you have enough. If you have more than that, you have too much. You're going to create confusion.
Thanks.
How can you own someone else's property without their permission, Chief or Chef London? You can have an interest in it, but you can't own someone else's property without that owner telling you here. They're never going to do that.
Oh, let's talk about that interest thing for a second, right? So like, according to the UCC, the definition of the debtor is someone who has interest in personal property.
Ah, is that the only definition?
I don't know.
Let's
That's the
see.
definition I found. Yeah, let's find out.
Here. Let's see.
I was getting that from this book too. Have you seen this one here?
Yeah. Yeah. I've actually seen a lot more than that because remember, I got Westlaw.
That's right. How much was the things running me, bro?
A luxury car payment?
Well, just send it to the principal.
I'm going to ask for reimbursement. Since everything's in their name, I'm going to ask for reimbursement. I'm a truck driver. I am not home to handle the bills every month. Uh-huh. So what am I doing at the end of the year? I'm going to do my statements and accounting, and I'm going to say, hey, your person, I've paid these debts. You need to reimburse me.
Right. So you said at the end of the year you're going to do that?
So I don't have a problem using the social because I know what it is and I know how to use it.
Most people don't.
Let's see. Pastor of the way, since I've talked to you, I've learned to assess the taxes to settle the accounts. That is absolutely possible. I mean, it depends. Now, here's the definition of interest. 1, the object of any human desire, especially advantage or profit of a financial nature. 2, a legal share in something, all or part of a legal or equitable claim to a right in property. So do you have an interest in that property? Yes, you do. Why? They say this is what they gave you to operate in commerce. They didn't give you nothing else. And so you have an interest to also do your part to protect it.
Sure. But remember we were talking about the definition of the debtor. Right, which I'm seeing in here is the debtor, according to UCC, 9-102A28A means a person having an interest other than a security interest or other lien in the collateral, whether or not the person is an obligor.
Now, under the Trust Indenture Act of 1939, it says the obligor is supposed to produce the trustee, who never shows up in court.
The trustee.
Didn't I show you who the trustees were for the obligor?
You did, and so then they make us the trustees, and that's why we go to jail.
No, it's called trustee de tort. Trustee de tort is when you are not doing your job. Here, I'll trustee.
Which is letting them know what's supposed to go on.
Look, hold on. Let me go. I'll pull it out of Black's Law Dictionary so you can see what trustee de tort is. Trustee. Okay, now. Trustee de tort. Someone who, without legal authority, administers a living person's property to the detriment of the property owner.
To the detriment of the property holder, who is
the property owner. And who holds the legal title to the property?
It'd be the trustee.
The trustees.
Yes.
So you're doing things to their detriment because they can't balance the books because you're not telling them anything.
It's so much more obvious when the principles are applied. You're making it too easy for us. We gotta work harder.
Now, the case of the name is not what's important. Lowercase, whatever, that's not the important part. Okay. For example, John Henry Doe, the all caps name. Do you ever see the full all caps name on any government documents? No. Why? Type into Google legal name defined. It's a Social Security manual. It'll be legal name defined. They actually tell you that they don't recognize a middle name. They even tell you how to translate it. You don't have the authority to do a 56F. Not over their property.
So who
applied science brings up the estate gift tax. If you go look at the IRS 6209 publication, they tell you that all W-2s, all W-4s, and all 1099s are gift and estate tax. So when you fill out a W-4 for the employer, he's paying the estate side. When you pay the bills, that's the gift side. You're not supposed to be doing a 1040. You're supposed to be doing a 706 and a 709. That's the gift side and the estate side. Then you have a $4.5 million exclusion on taxes when you do those. Now, do you have to do that? The W-4s? No, there's other forms you can fill out and not have to worry about it. That's what I did my class about. See, the proper name is not whether it's in lowercase, uppercase, or whatever. It's how is the name expressed? That's the problem. Now, the regular 56, not the 56F, when you properly do things right, yeah, you can do that. But most people are not filling things out right because they don't know the difference in the name. They don't even know who they are, much less the name.
So I'm gonna have to cut this short, but let's get on again soon.
I'd be glad to, man. You got my number.
I know. I'm just now getting back into everything too, so I'm like getting back into I've been in training. I've been competing. I've been traveling. I just got back from Poland a couple weeks ago. I was up at Penn State training at a world team camp. So, but I'm back. I have some downtime. So we're gonna get into this. but I'm excited. I'm excited for the stuff that we're learning. And yeah,
Yeah.
so you know, as a lasting statement, right?
Hmm.
You're talking about sending a notice to the trustee to um, to essentially take care of whatever they need to take care of based on your account information.
Hey, I just sent out 14 documents with the SS5FS correctly filled out to 14 parties to correct the
As
information in
the
the record.
Mhm.
That SS5FS I told you to look up.
Yeah, yeah,
Plus, I sent a delivery receipt for warehouse goods to the Department of Health and Human Services at the state level and said, hey, since your property is being held at my warehouses, my residence, domicile, and persons, that I'm charging you $15 a day that will be billed September 1st, and you'll be on a 30-day net billing cycle. I said, now, if I have to do any special performance for your property, it's $5,000 for the first hour, $1,000 each hour after that. I just sent these out this past week. It's not fraud. It's not fraud, Kenneth, because if they publish everything, how can you call it fraud? It's not their fault you don't read it.
also, too, I was just looking at something that was talking about how uh, they said fraud is an intentional perversion of truth for the purpose of inducing another in reliance upon it to
Yep.
part with
Now,
some valuable thing belonging to him or to surrender a legal right.
how can you prove that there was an intent to commit fraud? You don't know their heart.
You
Do you
can't.
think all these congressmen had the intent to defraud you? No. Now, can there be constructive fraud in the contract? Oh, yes, there can be,
Sure.
but that doesn't require intent.
Right, right.
And
And
if
they,
they published everything, because you can go online and find all of this stuff, because I do it all the time and show people what I learn, then guess what? It's not fraud. And it's not a breach of
Mhm.
trust, because if anybody's actually in breach of trust, it's you, because you've been derelict in your duty, because you're running around saying the wrong things. They're the experts. They created it. You're not studying it.
hmm He said of fiduciary responsibility. Well, they can't do what they're supposed to do unless you do what you're supposed to do. So you're
Bingo.
supposed to
So who's
let
the
them know.
so who is the actual person that's breaking the fiduciary responsibility?
The person in ignorance who does
The
not know
people.
to let the principal
Yeah,
know.
that's right.
Mhm.
Hence becoming, yep, exactly applied science. Hence becoming an enemy of the state under the Trading with the Enemy Act, because you're creating all this debt they cannot balance because you're not telling them.
I've been hoping, I've been waiting for somebody to make that connection. I'm like, how are we an enemy of the state? Is it the Federal Reserve notes? I've been waiting for somebody
No,
to make
you,
that
here's
clear.
the connection. Here's it is.
Goodness
You create,
gracious.
look, you went down to the car company, to the mortgage company, whatever. You created a collateral security under 12 USC 412. The mortgage company, in turn, or the car note company, or
Leech it.
whatever, under 12 USC 411 is supposed to take it to the Treasury to get it set off, the book entry credits. Guess what happens? You're not reporting it to the trustees, so they don't know about it. The banks, they're not doing it because they're securitizing it, putting into securities. So
hmm
they're
hmm
not telling the government till way down the road when it matures. That's when they receive it. And guess what? Nobody's telling the government, so we're $32 trillion in debt because nobody's talking to the freaking trustees and telling them, saying, look, here, I issued this in your person's name. Please go take care of this.
Mm. Oh man. That makes sense. So you're an enemy of the state if you are continuing to create more debt instead of discharging putting the information to the right people so that they can discharge the obligation for the person, i.e., the account
I
name, i.e., the strawman, the trust.
I had a financial institution admit The Social Security account is a closed account. They did not know they was admitting it, but they did admit it. A friend of mine used her son's social to test a theory on an ACH, and they told her you can't use a closed account. Well, what is a closed account? A closed account is closed to credits and debits. No more credits or debits are added. Now, wait a minute, you add both of those, but it remains open to adjustments and set off.
Yeah.
What's another word for set off? Discharge.
Yeah, it remains open for set off. I love this. It's just all
So
those
who is
pieces.
actually supposed to set it off? The obligor. Not you.
Wait, what about Jada Pinkett Smith and Queen Latifah? I thought they were supposed to do it.
No, the trustees, it's their obligation.
Did anybody else pick up that joke? Have you seen that movie? They call it "Set It Off."
But I know you got to go. And
yeah.
Anybody that wants to, you can go to my bio, join my Telegram group. I've got a chat group attached to the main page. Apply to the chat group. We discuss this all the time. I do classes for members. But if you don't want to pay, you don't got to, because the books are in the files section if you want to learn yourself. But this is the stuff I teach.
Oh, it's sick. Pastor of the Way, thank you so much. You dropped knowledge, dropped gems. It was great chatting with you. I'm gonna hit you up personally just so that way we can connect. But this is great. Let's do this again sooner than later. And then I'm
glad you're back in it, man.
Hey, I'm back in it, man. I'm back in it. Yeah, I had to get away for a second, and not that I wasn't doing anything, but I had to get away for a second. But coming back hot with some heat, and I'm expecting I'm expecting some good stuff to come out of this next season. We're in the growing season. There's a lot of good stuff coming up here. So, but Pastor, much love to you. Also, I will be doing a podcast. I'm going to be getting a podcast because what I want to do is I want to be able to bring guys like you on. I want to be able to bring other people who are hearings. I haven't seen anyone doing that yet, so I want to be able to bring people on and kind of talk and let's put the puzzle pieces together, learn, grow, and make movement.
We all know bits and pieces. No one has all the answers.
That is facts.
That was the whole purpose of me starting what I've started, is to bring the people that actually know what they're doing together. Facts. You know what I'm saying? I've got Boris in my group. I've got Popeye in my group. I've got a number of people in my group that are very, very intelligent people that are having success.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that, and I'm looking forward to the success that I'm going to see personally. And again, you filled in a lot of pieces for me in my time talking with you and chatting with you in the last year or so. And so it's
my dad had a state trooper. Remember those plates? My dad had a state trooper get behind him the other day. He said, "I just knew he was going to pull me over," and he did. He still has not been pulled over yet.
Yeah, good for him. More power to him. I hope he's able to ride that one out.
He's been running with those private plates for over 8 years, and ain't never been pulled over yet.
Oh man! I hope that it works out for him, man. Hey, Pastor, much love to you. I'll hit you up personally. Everybody else who's been on, we're gonna be going live more often than not. And so much love, blessings to you guys. Let's continue to learn and grow. And podcast coming up, community aspects coming up. So we're going to be in this together. And we'll see you guys in that next live and in the near future.
And I'll be doing lives probably starting. I'll probably do one next week after the first of the week. I got some consultations on Monday. If I have a free, I'll probably jump on and do a live.
Right.
Tomorrow, though, I've got class, so tomorrow I'll be busy.
Okay. Hey, guys, much love. We'll see you at that next one.